Alex. Thanks for all you do for God and country.
Well, I try, and thank you, sir. Okay, as much as you can tell us, because you've been saying this since really early on, that you were the first, what did your intel sources and federal law enforcement, local police, and military tell you about what's really going on in the Gulf?
Well, it's all staged. It's all staged. They had, as you said, very strange, the Bureau of Land Management on there 2 hours before the bomb went off. And they were doing a very uncharacteristic inspection of an oil rig, which the Bureau of Land Management doesn't do. And then 2 hours after they left, the bomb went off and blew up the oil rig. You know, so it was all a false flag operation to help the oil barons make more money and stop the finding of oil in these offshore oil rigs.
Because they're monopoly men, just like BP gets 80% of the Alaskan oil.
Right.
And, of course, they're the big carbon tax pushers. But was this a military source, a police source? Was it one source, multiple sources? I mean, give us an idea.
It was multiple sources.
And yeah. Let me get my timeline right. When did you first start getting this intel?
Oh, about a month ago. Yeah, about a month ago. And all the people that I talked to and contacted, and they contacted me, are scared to death of being executed if anybody finds out that they talked to me about it. Yeah. And as you say, Zach Zimmerman is the one that put out that the Bureau of Land Management did an uncharacteristic surprise inspection the day the oil rig blew up. And they were on that oil rig. The Bureau of Land Management doesn't do oil rig inspections, but they were on this one, and 2 hours after they left, it blew up. So these sources that have contacted me believe that it was all a false flag operation to also fill the concentration camps. They're talking about picking up 40 to 50,000 people and putting them in these Halliburton concentration camps.
Now, I saw that, and again, then that's all sold, like after Katrina, as if it's a good thing. I remember seeing that a month ago, and then they did deploy the military, and now the EPA is talking about evacuating some areas, and they're now calling it tilt. Reuters and others are reporting that people are getting sick. 2 of the workers have died. A captain's committed suicide. So we know they've been lying about the toxicity.
Right.
But my intel is they are at least exacerbating this to get their carbon tax passed. And now Obama, Barry Soetoro, is out promoting that. It's also a smokescreen for the Iran attack they've got geared up. But specifically, you know, you have broken many government documents in the past, literally hundreds of times. The Phoenix memo back in '98 saying patriots and gun owners were terrorists. You know, just a new version of that we got from law enforcement last year, MIAC and Homeland Security reports. So, I mean, Jack, you have broken a lot of key news, and we respect your sources. But, I mean, any other details that they can that your sources gave you? I mean, were these eyewitnesses, or were they told by other law enforcement? Or, I mean, give us as much specifics as you can.
Well, they just said that they were in meetings where this was talked about, blowing up this oil rig. And, of course, the oil barons are part of the communist Zionist controllers of our nation today. And they were in meetings talking about they were going to blow this thing up. So we had Wachovia, who is owned by Wells Fargo Bank, sell 2.5 million shares 2 weeks before it blew up. Swiss bank UBS sold 2 million shares, 97% of their stock, and Wachovia sold 98% of their BP stock. And Goldman Sachs sold 44% of their BP stock. And Tony Hayward, the CEO of BP, that's been on the news a lot today, sold all of his stock, 1.4 million worth of BP stock, just a couple weeks before the bomb went off. So it's the same as 9/11, brother.
I thought it was 33%, but then I read he had sold even more later. And Goldman Sachs sold 44% of their stock.
Right.
But now, when you talk about Israel involvement, I hadn't really, I mean, federal government, BLM, I mean, this whole combine of interest wanting to push for. But I do see it as a distraction, as Israel and U.S. forces do openly say they may nuke Iran. And, boy, that's just going to be terrible. And then the Iranians say they're going to try to break the Gaza blockade, which is insane. And,
yeah.
I mean, we don't want war here. We want all these sides to stop what they're doing. So you specifically talked to sources, law enforcement, military, who were in meetings when they were talking about government blew it up or may have blown it up?
Yes.
Or they were in meetings talking about how they were going to blow it up?
How they were going to. This was before it happened. And so Halliburton was on that oil rig just hours before it blew up, and the Bureau of Land Management was there too. So one of those organizations planted the bomb on the oil rig, according to my sources.
Wow, I wish those sources could, I would think they'd be in more danger not speaking out. I mean, I can't imagine government or corporate espionage groups having more than 3 or 4 people in a meeting where this would be discussed. That's something you'd keep compartmentalized. So.
Oh, yes, it's definitely compartmentalized, but I have contacts. I had a top-secret clearance during the Vietnam War and was back on these secret intel bases and made a lot of contacts with intel people.
Weren't you in Cambodia?
No, I never went to Cambodia.
Oh, no, that was Butch Paul was in Black Ops in Cambodia. That's right.
Yeah. No, I wanted to, I was 17, 18 years of age when I was, I enlisted when I was 17, and I was the first American 16-year-old that was taken by the Navy divers and taught to use scuba gear and certified in scuba gear in Washington District of Criminals. Recruiter, and I told him that I was certified in scuba gear by the Navy divers and wanted to be part of the UDT, the underwater demolition teams. They're called the SEALs today.
Yeah, that's Jesse Ventura, yeah.
Yeah, and they said, the recruiter says, sure, sign here. So I was stupid enough to sign up, and then they put me back in these intel bases in the jungles with a top-secret clearance, and it helped because I met a lot of people that were... No,
Jack, we know that. I mean, you've had the premier organization, Police and Military Against the New World Order, and all these sources.
Yeah.
This is pretty big. I mean, I believe you have these sources, and it's amazing to be here talking to you, and you're saying you've got multiple sources who one source, to be specific, who said they were in on a meeting when the government was discussing sabotaging it with an explosive, or 2 people, or do you have...
Two people.
Okay, and do you have, and you said other sources. I mean, do you have any other intel from what people generally in law enforcement think?
Well, I was called the other day and was told I was going to get an email, and I got an email that Cheney and Bush and Halliburton purchased a oil cleaning firm 2 weeks before the blow-up of the oil platform.
Yeah, Boots and Coots. Yeah, no, that's confirmed.
Yeah, right. And so I'm getting some good information. It's just, and then now we have a scared BP insider predicted that it was blown up on purpose, you know. We have Dennis Whitney. Now, he didn't give us his name, but we went and traced his IP address back to Dennis Whitney, so he may end up dead, but he's
Well, that's scared. Not too good to talk.
Yeah, he's really scared.
Okay, well, we'll try to...
He's a BP insider, and he said that it was blown up on purpose, a false flag operation.
Okay, well, they can also IP spoof, so we'll have to look into that. Wow, yeah. Jack Mclamb is our guest. This is just getting crazier by the moment. Well, there's no doubt we're going into tyranny. They're openly talking about shutting the web off. They're openly talking about arresting dissidents. They've got Southern Poverty Law Center reports, the Southern Poverty Law Center called me by my first name. They said, oh, Alex isn't calling for violence, but what he's saying will cause his followers to. I mean, they must really be concerned about us if they're trying to demonize us. I mean, Jack, we've never called for violence, have we?
No, I haven't called for violence, and you haven't either, Alex. And but the Southern Poverty Pimp Law Center is a communist Zionist-led organization, and they hate America just like the ADL hates America, and they want to see it destroyed. So they're doing everything they can to destroy you, me, and everybody they can that's trying to help save America.